Hey guys, Sarah here, and Rockstar Games is back with a new game where you can do whatever you want, kill whomever you want, and steal whatever you want. But here's the twist, it's not Grand Theft Auto. Instead, it's sure what's to be a contender for Game of the Year, Red Dead Redemption. This newest installment of the Red Dead series is the story of John Marston, a reformed outlaw who's sent out west by the American government to wrangle up his old gang members, otherwise face losing his family and his farm. As John, you get to explore the American West in an area only known as New Austin, going everywhere from the barren deserts to the snowy mountains and even crossing the border to Mexico. While this game has mostly been described as Grand Theft Horses, there's a lot that sets it apart from the GTA franchise. First up is the return of Deadeye mode from Red Dead Revolver. Basically, you get to slow down time to pick out precision shots, ensuring a totally kick-ass kill. Secondly, and probably the most obvious, is the setting. Developers put a lot of time into creating this small world, and it really shows. When riding a horse, you can see the tail flowing in the wind, and when it rains, you can see the ripple effects in the puddles, etc. Everything from the guns to the good old-timey prostitutes are true to their Old West settings. As far as rating goes, story gets a 9.5. As the name would suggest, it's a story about a man who's done wrong and who's just trying to redeem himself so he can live in peace. It may not be the most original story, but it is one that has you cheering for the protagonist. The way the main story missions are set up keep you unable to put the controller down because you truly want to find out more. Design, however, gets a perfect 10. Amazing voice acting, realistic setting noises, and an epic soundtrack are part of what sets this game apart sound-wise. Whether you're riding to the bass groove while you're on a bounty mission, or you're listening to the crickets at sundown, sound plays a pivotal role in completely immersing the player into the game. Kudos, Rockstar. As far as graphic goes, we finally have a game that is water that looks like real water. There are even reflections in everything. You can see the muscles working when you're riding a horse, and the sunsets are as beautiful as in the real-life West. The only problem I had, surprisingly, were the flat surfaces like wooden floors and wallpapers. They tried to have texture, but the technology just isn't there yet, so you can hardly blame the designers for that. Gameplay gets a 9. The sandbox style really lends a hand to make sure the game never gets boring. Are you getting tired of doing favors for everyone just to get your old gang member you're supposed to arrest? Go hunting, gambling, or tie women to railroad tracks instead. You can always go back to the main storyline missions whenever, so have some fun while you're at it. The only thing keeping me from a perfect 10 would be the boring cutscenes. They say what you're supposed to do in about 30 seconds, so why do they last 5 minutes? Presentation gets an 8. They really went for a minimalist feel in the display, which really works to be useful without taking away from the world. There's only a small map in the bottom left corner that includes a Deadeye meter and the meter for your horse stamina whenever you're riding one. However, they really need to work on how you select your guns. You have to select with one of the analog sticks with the gun options laid out in a circle. Half the time you select the wrong gun unless you spend 30 seconds carefully picking out the right one. Either way, it's going to get you killed in the middle of action if you're not careful. Also, there are issues with stagecoach controls. In the same ride, you can go from turning on a dime to having to move the analog stick all the way to the side just to turn 5 degrees. It's frustrating when you're trying to go under a bridge and you get stuck right next to the opening and you end up getting slaughtered because of it. Replay value gets a 9. While Red Dead totally stole a good chunk of my summer and I have no regrets, I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to go back and play it now that the main storyline is finished. Sure, I can and will go back to explore the world some more, but that's not the biggest draw to this game. However, there is multiplayer and online co-op missions, so you have some fun there. To summarize, story gets a 9.5, design gets a 10, gameplay gets a 9, presentation gets an 8, and replay value gets a 9, which altogether gives Red Dead Redemption a 9.